Share your screen with your audience. Okay, I don't know what that means. I think I'm live. Oh, and I'm just making sure that it's actually working. You can hear me. Cool. Let's close that. Hi. I am terrified. I am scared shitless right now. I'm a little bit shaky, but I'm excited to be here with you today. I've never done a YouTube live, but I felt really called to make it today. And for those who don't know me, I am Emily. I am a therapist in private practice and a slow living enthusiast. And I am here to guide you on your journey to a meaningful and fulfilling life. That's my little pitch. How was it? Not too bad, I hope. um, yeah, so nobody might be watching this right now, and that's fine. Maybe you'll catch it on the replay, but here's why I decided to go live today. And you'll notice I'm looking down quite a bit because I'm just trying to see. I can see there's like a chat option. So maybe somebody will write something in there and I don't want to miss it. But also, when I see myself on a screen, I'm just like drawn to looking at myself. It's just a human nature thing. Okay. Why am I making this video? So far on my YouTube journey, I've only been creating structured YouTube videos because there's some safety in that, right? You can plan what you're about to say, you can structure your video, and even when like you're filming, you can film multiple times to get the best take. Or if you really fall flat on your face, you just never post it, which I have done. So that's why I've never done these YouTube live before, is because they're quite scary to just sit here and talk. I was worried that, the system wouldn't work, you wouldn't hear me, just whatever. And I can't keep living in fear. Well, more and more I've been trying to live outside of my comfort zone, and I'm just continuing that now here. So, okay, I'm gonna stop blabbing and tell you why I'm making this video for real. So, not just to step out of my comfort zone, although that is one of the reasons, but it was really brought about because I recognize that I talk a lot about slow living, but I don't tend to show you what that looks like for me and how that can be very helpful. And so I was reflecting on that and what I wanted to share in a possible YouTube video or Instagram post. And it led me to so many other thoughts. And I literally, like last night, I had a difficult time falling asleep because these thoughts were just racing around my head. And then even this morning after we woke up with the baby and I tried to get more rest, I couldn't like rest because they were just really present. So I ended up writing them all down, these little thoughts on my little notes app, just to get them out and be able to rest. And I did nap this morning. It was lovely and I feel no shame about it. So first I wanted to maybe just jump into what slow living looks like for me. Yeah, how I structure my week and time. And I want to say that like every week for me is different because I don't base my work around time. I base my work around my energy. And so this week was a bit of a different week for me. I'm looking a lot more tired because I am. It was the Thanksgiving long weekend in Canada, so I saw a lot of family. We drove like 2 hours to my husband's family, and then 2 hours back. So um, it was lovely, and I even did like an outside photo shoot with my sister-in-law, a witchy photo shoot, which was just so lovely. But now I think I've caught a cold from that. But all that to say that I knew coming into this week that I wouldn't have a lot of energy. And so I kind of planned my week with that in mind. So I didn't schedule many clients. I didn't plan to make a structured video because that would obviously take time to plan, create, and then, film and all that kind of jazz. And even in terms of the work I was going to do, I really chose work that wasn't too energy depleting for me, but would still would still I don't know be beneficial for the work that I do. So I'm gonna take a sip. Also, my cup is so cute. Mm. Okay. So what that looked like for me was Monday was a day off because I had the whole weekend plus the Monday, which was a long Thanksgiving weekend. Tuesday, I saw 2 clients, and then I know that yesterday I saw 1 client, and then Tuesday I had a gym session in the afternoon at 2 p.m., and yesterday I had a 9 a.m. session, and then I spent time with my brother who was going back to university, and I was very sad. And last night, I knew that I was going to a networking event, which was like usually it's like 5 to 7, but I am a blabber and I talk a lot and I love connecting. So for me, a 5 to 7 turns more into a 5 to 8, 8:30. And so I knew that that would zap a lot of my energy. And so that is why I chose to not see as many clients because I knew I didn't have the energetic capacity to hold space for them more than a couple. And that's why I didn't wanna, like, create anything, structured because I didn't think I could bring enough of myself to the table to add value. Um, and yeah, so today I took it really easy, after waking up with my daughter, I went back to bed, I took a nap. It was really nice. And this afternoon, I am go well, after I do this, I'm gonna go and get a couple of groceries, go to the local bakery, and maybe write a couple little notes, maybe spend an hour on actual work. And then, tonight, I'm seeing a friend, she's coming over, so that's gonna be lovely. And then Friday is I got my gym class in the morning, and then I don't know what I'm gonna do for the rest of the day. So that is just a glimpse into how I structure my day right now for this week. And I wanted to share that because I wanted to give you a glimpse into what it could look like for you. And I'm a business owner and I recognize that you might be looking at that and you're like, okay, well, that's not like a very feasible business plan to make a lot of money. And you're absolutely right. That is not the most feasible business plan. If I were just working on making a lot of money, the best thing for me to do would be to see as many clients as possible in a week, right? But that's not how I function, that's not how I work, and that's not how I wanna show up for my clients. I care for my clients, and I wanna give them the best of me, and to do that, I have to responsibly take care of myself, and so that is managing my energy. Um, but this kinda got me into thinking about how a couple of years ago, 20 whatever year old Emily would never imagine this future for herself. If you were to tell me that this is how I'm structuring my day now, um, and even when I do see a lot of clients, it's like not as much as I used to do in the past, I would not believe you because I was very much a doer. I was put your head down, do the work, go over and above to exceed the expectations of others and to garner respect and to I don't know, I just, perform, right? And that wasn't the best way of living, obviously. Like, I did that for most of my adult career, even as a teenager when I worked at a summer camp, and that gave me a burnout. Not the best strategy. But I think that a lot of us get stuck being doers, whether that's in the businesses that we own or in the companies in which we work, right? We put our head down, we do the work, and we don't really question the why of things. And although I've always been a doer, I've always questioned things. I've always done things a little bit differently than others. So, like, I've always been on the camp of work smarter, not harder, right? That kind of stuff. And what I find is the more I speak to other individuals who are engaging in slow living or have adopted the type of lifestyle that I have, which is a more slower paced life, not like hustling, what I find is they aren't just doers, right? They're innovators. They take time to reflect. They take time to speak up for themselves. They know what they like, they know what they're good at, they know what brings in positive things for their company and they lean into that. Um and so what that looks like yeah, I'm just like blabbing. I'm sorry, but it'll make sense. And so although I've always been a doer, I have always really spoken up for myself in organizations, and sharing what I feel my best contributions are. And so, and I didn't do this with the knowledge that I have now, obviously. Like when I first started speaking up for myself in organizations was when I was, I don't know, 19, 20. Um, and it's just because of who I am and what that looks like and what it could look like for you if you want to get out of just the doer mentality is being able to take a step back, reflect on your strengths and your weaknesses and what you enjoy doing. And not only leaning into that, but communicating that with your bosses and with yourself, right? Um, so what might this look like? I'll give you like three different examples from my own life. The first one was when I was a undergraduate student, and I worked at a Winners. Yes, I worked at a Winners. And I hated the cash register. I hated it. Like it was giving me so much stress. I hated working with the cash and I also didn't quite enjoy working the sales floor. It was like number two, but I loved working the fitting room. And I, you know, I didn't want to work the cash and I wanted to work the fitting room. And some people will just grumble and do the job and just do what they have to do. And I was like, I spoke to my boss and I was like, hey, I don't like cash. I'm not very good at cash. I'm very slow, but I can do the fitting room. And here's why I'm qualified for it. And I even have spoken to some of my colleagues who I gathered information that they didn't like it. So I kind of voiced why I was better placed in the fitting room than the cash. And you might be worried that, oh, well, you can't say that because you should be doing all of the roles. But literally, like they just said, okay, cool. Um, right? Because it's not people aren't always out to get you. We might think they are, we might think that they're looking for reasons to judge us, but really, if you're working in a company, they don't have time for that. They just want to place the right people in the right spots. And if your right spot is working the fitting room and they can just put somebody else at the cash, they don't give a rat's ass, honestly. Um, and then if I think of like more, when I work with bigger organizations and what that might look like, I worked for a staffing agency. I was a recruiter and we were developing the environment that I was in, like the area that I was in, and we were doing short-term staffing and then long-term staffing. And I hated short-term staffing, and I wasn't very good at it. My supervisor Melanie, who I'm still in contact with, would probably agree with you. And and with short-term staffing, you had like it's a bit more recurring revenue, whereas with long-term staffing, you're like hiring an employee that's gonna stay there long term. And so it's like a lump sum. And I told my boss flat out after doing the work and still doing good work, right? Because you don't want to do bad work, but I'm still doing good work. But I was like, hey Mel, I ain't very good at this short-term staffing, and I'm not very I don't love it. It's not as beneficial for the company. And so I was able to show how my gifts were more suited to long-term staffing, right? Because I have good organizational skills. I'm able to recognize people who have higher level skill sets. I'm able to share that value with the employers and all that. And so I just vocalized that with her. And so we just really lead into the long-term staffing. Um, Wow, I know, right? So I communicated that, and I communicated not only my interest, but also the ROI, the return on investment for that, right? And then like later on, like I did move on within the company, and somebody else took my role, and she was like really good at short term staffing. She had experience in it, love her to pieces, and yeah, and that was good for her. So that was that, and then within the agency where I worked as a therapist, I really like spoke to what you know, who I worked best with because I worked with youth. So I worked with like children. I'm not very good at working with children, like 6-year-old and all that. I'm not Doing therapy with them, I'm not the best suited. But you give me a teenager, 12 and up, especially a teenager who's maybe within the category of like LGBTQ plus, and all that kind of stuff. And it was just a better fit, and certain presenting issues were just better fit. And so I just communicated that. And so when we would review cases that came up, I would advocate for the cases that I knew I would be the best fit, because I knew that I could serve them better than the other ones that were there, and I already could tell the other colleagues that I have that would serve them best. So, all that to say, when you're simply a doer, you're not gonna do those things, and you might be scared to even have those conversations because it's difficult to vocalize a weakness, right? We might think that people will think less of us. And what I found is that people don't generally think less of you. They appreciate your candor. They appreciate your openness and your recognition of where your strengths lie, right? Because by knowing your weaknesses, you know your strengths. And employers want to put you where you're best suited, because that is what is going to really serve their company, right? It doesn't serve them for me to work with a certain demographic of people and not do a great job and that really reflect poorly on the organization, rather than putting you with maybe a demographic of people who it really is a great fit, and it promotes the company even more in the minds of the community. And that is really an example of working within organizations. But it's also within your role if you are a business owner, right? Because we sometimes think that as a business owner, we have to have our hands on everything. And to a certain extent, you do need to recognize all the different parts of your business, but you're not good at everything. Um, we might think that we're the best suited to do all the things, but we're really not. Um, I'm just thinking of like my editing for my YouTube videos. I am not a good editor, so I'm getting somebody to edit my videos, and that person actually enjoys it and is good at it. So why not? And then that gives me more opportunity to do the things that I do enjoy and that I am good at, which is, maybe connecting with others, sharing my ideas, and really, I know, delivering value. So, within your own organization, within your own business, what are the things that you are doing that are really just your employee B mentality of just being a doer? And what could you do instead, right? What are your weaknesses and what are your strengths? And if you do have weaknesses, who can you delegate to and communicate that weakness? So, for sure, one day I'm going to get an executive assistant, and that executive assistant is going to know that I have a really difficult time with prioritization, like knowing what I should be doing and who I should be saying yes to and who I should be saying no to, and I have a bleeding heart. And they're gonna be handling that for me. So I can't wait for that. And it might be like really difficult for some people to vocalize, like, I'm bad at prioritizing. But like, wouldn't you rather share that and build a business that supports you? Yeah, that supports you. So, that was, so the idea of vocalizing your strengths, vocalizing your weaknesses, and also your interest, right? Because sometimes, we get into a delegation stage of we tend to like maybe delegate the things that we actually have an interest in and keep the things that we think we have to do. So, really, for me, slow living comes into play because when you slow down, you're better able to evaluate where your energy, resources, and interests are being drawn to, and be able to delegate or take on the things that you want to take on or delegate. Okay. I've already been talking for like 20 minutes. um, but this is like for me, I think. I hope it's valuable for you, but this is a really big thing for me. So thank you for allowing me to have the space to get all my thoughts out. Okay. Um, I'm looking at my little notes because I did have a couple other notes here. The other thing that I wanted to say about being a doer is that, especially well, within organizations and maybe within your own businesses too, is that doers can sometimes become doormats, right? So when you are somebody, and especially like the people that I work with are high achieving individuals. And so they're doers, but they're very good at what they do. They are high performers. They get the job done. And even if you throw more on their plate, they're able to take it on to the detriment of themselves, but they get the job done. They might overwork themselves, they might work overtime and all that, but they get it done. And when you are somebody who performs well and is a doer and is a yes person, then all you get is more work, right? You don't get recognition and you don't get probably the things that you're wanting, like promotions or more money or all. Because why would somebody really actively pay you more when you're going to just do it for free? It doesn't serve them. And that's true as an employee with your employer, but also as a business owner, because you might be over delivering. I think it's okay to over deliver a little bit, like with your clientele, that's good. But when you're over delivering to the point of expected, then, you know, they're, your clients might pull out even more, want you to do even more for less money. And so you become a doer, which can turn into a doormat. Um, and I'm just like reading a note that I put here, which was no one is going to protect your time or actively respect your boundaries, right? Like it's nobody else's job to protect your time and respect your boundaries. You are the one in charge of that. It You got to recognize people aren't not necessarily doing it in a malicious way of wanting to hurt you or wanting to disrespect your boundaries, but people care about themselves and what they're going through, and they don't have time to really remember what your boundaries are or what how the time that you're protecting. And it's up to you to vocalize that, and it's up to you to maintain those boundaries, because if you can't maintain your own boundaries, I don't know how you can expect anybody else to maintain your boundaries. And again, people aren't necessarily doing it in a malicious way. It's just they don't think about it. They don't think about you. And so it is up to you. You need to know your boundaries. You need to vocalize those boundaries. You need to have them set in stone. And that in itself garners respect. That in itself creates the type of life that you want. I think I've said many times in my videos, one thing that I do is I don't work Fridays. I don't see clients on Fridays. And I vocalize that. And it's easy for a client to forget. Like, why would they remember that I don't work Fridays? What does that actually serve them to remember? And so when they offer like availability, they might be like, "Oh, can we work Friday?" And a doer might be like, "Yeah, I could probably make it work." That's just right, like that, and then you might become resentful of the person who is asking for that, who is asking for you to break your boundary, but they don't technically know you are breaking a boundary. They don't know. Like, you're like, "Yeah, but I told them." They don't know. They got enough stuff on their plate. They don't remember what you said. So it is up to you to be like, "Oh, I don't work Fridays." That's it. Right? Um, and that is like for business. And if it's business, again, it can be like, "Oh, can you do this?" It's like, I could, but there's an extra fee associated to it. Or I don't offer that within my services. Like those are just straight and simple. And then probably they'll just be like, "Okay." It's when you waver that people aren't sure what your boundaries even are. And so you need to respect it if you want anybody else to respect them. Um, so yeah. So that's really, really important, because I feel like people know about boundaries, but they don't actually know how to truly live their boundaries, how to truly vocalize them, how to truly continue to respect them. Because and you can't have flimsy boundaries. Like a flimsy boundary would be when I worked at an agency, I told myself, I'm only going to work like 2 evenings a week. 2 or 3, you know? But then you'd be like, "Oh, well, this client maybe needs it. Maybe that person needs it." But no. And what I found is the more that you have strict boundaries, the more that people are just like, "Okay, I'll make it work." Like, I see clients 10 a.m. to 4:30 p.m., and people like, "They see you, they don't wanna come in the evening?" I'm like, "No, they make it work." Because we just kinda like, "Okay, well, we'll do it on the lunch hour," and I don't mind because my lunch hour moves. They do it at the end of their day. They figure it out. When something is actually important to someone, they will figure it out. Um, and in terms of being a doer at a job, you might be saying yes to everything that gets thrown your way. I see it all the time where people burn out from jobs or they leave jobs, there's a lot of turnover. And instead of hiring new employees to fill the roles that have been emptied, the employer will simply dump tasks on other employees, saying, "Oh, just do it until we find a replacement." But what happens is you kinda get stuck with those additional tasks. You perform, you do it, you're bootstrapping it, and you're crawling your way to the finish line, but you're getting it done. So why would your employer hire more people, right? Instead, what if you said, like, I if you have too much, like, "Okay, well, I have all of these things. Is this a priority? Where should I put it on the list?" Or if it's something that's continuous, like, "Okay, well, I've been doing this for this much time. I will need the extra compensation for it." And you might be like, "Oh, they're gonna fire me." And I get, like, in some organizations, like, maybe you have a very toxic organization, but if you are what I expecting that you are a high achiever and you are actually good at your job, it is in your employer's best interest to keep you. There is so much turnover, they have so much hard time finding employees that if ever and of course, I know you're gonna be respectful in the way that you communicate things and you are showing that you are a good employee. It is in the employer's best interest to keep you. It costs more to replace you, let's be real. And you are damn good at what you do. You might think that you're not, you might question your value, you might question, might have imposter syndrome, but I want to tell you right now, you are damn good at what you do. You are a high achiever. You are so so great. You have so much potential within you, and it's not getting its full um, capacity by playing small, which is what you're doing. Um, and that brought me into like my other thought process. Let me take a sip. My other thought that I was having because I went to that networking event last night and I connected with a lot of different business owners and freelancers and all that, and I loved hearing about who they were, what they were passionate about, and how they organize their businesses. And what I noticed from talking to them was that they don't see their full potential as I see it. I feel like I see what others don't see because when I hear someone talking about their business in a passionate way, but also I find with my community, these individuals aren't just business owners, they are um, change makers, they are thought leaders, they are people who are very inspired to help others, and they might have a lot of different ways of doing that, right? Um, but because of the way that they are structuring their life, their lifestyle, and their businesses, they aren't able to step in to their true potential because they are shackled to the doing. Um, and when I speak to others about the life that I'm leading as a business owner, I sometimes hear a lot of the obstacles, a lot of the how it won't work rather than how it will work. And when people express their obstacles, what I actually see is things that can actually be surmounted quite easily. And a lot of it comes down to the mindset that we have. And and I think that people get so stuck in doing and keeping their head down that they don't recognize their potential and the freedom that they can experience by finally stepping in to that potential. And I titled this stream like "You Are Meant for So Much More" because I truly do believe that you are meant for so much more. You are meant for things that you can't even fathom. I've spoken to so many people, and I'm like, wow, if we just made a few adjustments, you would have freedom to see your family, you would have freedom to see your friends, you would be able to engage in the activities that you enjoy. You'd be able to do the work that you actually enjoy, and you'd be able to help your community. But we get so stuck in the doing of things that we don't recognize how we're going to make that into a reality. And what I've noticed is there are so many, amazing people out there who are never going to step into their potential of being change makers and being thought leaders because they don't recognize the strength that they have. And like I hope that's what I'm trying to step into myself, is being a thought leader, being a change maker, rejecting hustle culture and bringing in a slow, more meaningful way of living. And this would never have happened if I had stayed in my doer mindset, if I had just stayed thinking small. And I get kind of like goosebumps and sad thinking about all the people who could be changing the world, who are stuck with their head in their paperwork. I and that's and I am getting a little bit emotional because you can help so many people. So many people. And I'm not just talking about volunteer work, and I'm not just talking about the great work that regardless, if you are a business owner charging for your services, you're like a therapist or a coach, or God, you even sell products. You are able to impact change in so many people. And if you're even an employee, I've worked as an employee in so many roles, and you are impacting change. Like, of course, obviously, a doctor, a lawyer, but an employment counselor. I was an employment counselor. You are changing lives. You are helping people. There's just so many things. Even an author. Do you know how much like an author, even if it's not a self-help, even if it's just not even just, but like you're writing fiction, you are helping so many people and you don't even realize the power you have. Um, and it makes me sad, to think about all this, and that is why I kinda, like, was having a hard time sleeping because I just was like, "I'm making my YouTube videos, and I'm structuring them in a way that you're gonna wanna click and wanna listen," and obviously, there's a structure to YouTube, but I wanna be able to share these thought processes with you because I think they're so important, and I'm able to maybe, I don't know, show more of the my own vision of the world because I can really see that the world isn't just stuck in the way it is. We can impact change. We can. Um, and that is why I decided to like offer now. I offer mentorship to high achieving professionals because I love creating free value on here, but I could have gone so much further, so much quicker if I had somebody helping me with the application piece. And now I'm like so excited to get to work with these people one on one. And there's just something about, I don't know, helping people step into their true potential that just freaking it lights me up. It makes me emotional. And yeah. Um I've been talking for quite a bit. I think I see that there's somebody here. I don't know who it is, but hello to you. This is my first ever live stream. And yeah, I'm wondering if this is like a continuous thing we should do on here. Like when I have, because I often have these types of thoughts just rambling through my head. And instead, I don't post videos every week. I'm like, should I maybe uh, post maybe once every 2 weeks, like this as well? I could answer questions. I can take you more into the deep depths of my brain. um, But yeah, I do hope that you found this video helpful. And before I sign off, and I think this will just like save and you can rewatch it if you want. I wanted to tell you like a funny little thing that I did. So last weekend, which was a Thanksgiving long weekend, my sister-in-law and I had a fun little witchy photo shoot because I love Halloween. Like in case you don't know, like I love Halloween, and she does too. We have matching tattoos of a planchette. I'm French. I forget what it's a planchette in English too, I think, right? Well, wait. I love Halloween. Look, it's a ghost. Okay. We had a witchy photo shoot with a friend of ours who is a photographer, and some of the photos have started to come out. And I'm just gonna it's so it was freaking cold though, and I think I caught a cold, but I think it was really worth it to frolic around with my sister-in-law. But like that's like a photo that she took of me like holding a tarot card. Oh, I went really close to the mic. Sorry. Mm. It's the Empress, but it's like cat tarot cards. It's like me and a smaller cat, which is like my little daughter. Um, yeah, yeah. So I can't wait to share those photos a bit more with you guys. And yeah, oh man, here's the thing that I have a hard time with is that I'm a talker, and so once I start talking, it's hard for me to stop talking. And then I'm like, I'm just like I keep talking. um, but you know what? I'm gonna like drop a little bit of secret here, because I don't think a lot of people can watch it. So if you're watching this, you're gonna get a couple little secrets into what's coming up. So I have a new video coming up that my friend is editing. She's gonna start editing it on Monday, and it'll be posted next Thursday or Wednesday, whatever. And it's about can you make $1 million without hustling and while slow living? And I never dreamed of even making 100,000 out of my thought processy. But I was like, you know what? That is such the hustle culture mentality that you have to hustle to make a lot of money. I'm wondering if you can not hustle as much and still make. And I'm like, oh, I'll take you on the journey. I'll do some behind the scenes stuff. So a lot of cool stuff's coming. Um, oh, sunshine. Okay. Sunshine in the sky. Thank you for sharing your schedule. I'm in a different time zone and I will come back to your video. Oh, yay. You're in a different time zone? Cool. I mean, it's just cool that somebody else is watching this. Yes, come back to the video. I love that. Oh my God. Okay, it's my first stream. You know, my first comment. Ah. Okay. I'm sorry. Oh, you're so lovely. Okay. Oh yeah. What was I saying? I got like so overexcited. It's like it's crazy to think that people like are actually watching this that aren't just like my friends. It's crazy. Um, oh my God, what was I saying? Oh yes, $1 million. I think you can make $1 million without hustling. I really truly do think so. And um that might and my first gut feeling is that sounds like one really crazy because like that's like a big dream, right? And two, like who am I? Like what's the point? Like I made a video about like you don't need to do that. You don't need to make a lot of money as a slow living advocate, like slow living. Like you can live on less. And obviously, yes, you can. Financial freedom can look like what financial freedom looks like for you. I would do well with 100K a year. Oh my God, like that would be freaking amazing. But I want to dream big and I want to, it's like shoot for the moon, land among the stars, right? I I wanna share the process. It's gonna be a slower process, slow living, slower process, but I truly think that we overvalue hustling and we undervalue consistency and just showing up and being real. Um, yeah, so that's a little sneak peek of what's coming up. Um, okay, this was actually really fun. I've been talking for 40 minutes. And sorry if this audio isn't the best or if I keep looking at myself in the camera because I can't help it. It's really hard not to when I'm so big and right there. Like, ah. Oh, maybe I should have moved that up. Okay, next time. Oh, okay, so as I close up this YouTube live, okay, one, obviously you can subscribe if you want more videos that are structured and maybe, more videos like this. Two, let me know if you like these live streams and I can do them more often. And 3, if you like these live streams and you have questions for me about like how I'm structuring my business, how I'm structuring my days. Sunshine in the Sky said, like, thank you for sharing your schedule. Maybe you want to know more about like what other typical days in the life look like for me. Like, what happens on a week where I'm filming a structured video? What happens on a week where I'm seeing more therapy clients? Let me know and I can like share that, or how I'm making time for friends and family, how I'm making time for the gym, like whatever questions you have. Well, not whatever, like let's keep it somewhat BG, people. Let me know. Okay. Okay. Oh man, I'm so excitable. Was fun. Okay. And I gotta go now. So it's that whole you hang up. No, you hang up. Okay, I swear I'll get better at these. I hope. All right. Keep living your authentic life. And I love you. Bye. Okay.